Mr. Chairman, members, good afternoon. My name is Stephen Reeves, and I serve as Director of Public Policy and Counsel for the Texas Baptist Christian Life Commission. We are the Ethics and Public Policy Division of the Baptist General Convention of Texas, made up of nearly 5,500 churches. Established in 1950, we speak to and with Texas Baptists on a wide range of moral, ethical, and public policy issues, and I appreciate the invitation to speak with you here this evening. Though we have followed the issue of payday and auto title lending for several sessions, the CLC began taking a closer look in 2010 when we saw a report entitled "For a New Thrift, Confronting the Debt Culture" by the Institute for American Values. The report looked at government policies which tended to inhibit people's ability to save. Of the 4 policies studied, one was state lotteries, which we've long opposed, and the second was payday and auto title lending. As we researched the issue, discussed with members of our commission, and talked with pastors and church members, our concern was echoed back to us. They confirmed this was a big problem that had hurt many in their communities. In 2010, at our annual meeting, the convention passed a resolution citing the compelling ethical and Christian obligation to speak out and urging the passage of just laws that will limit these unfair lending practices. In preparing for last session, we established a faith-based coalition to advocate for reform. The CLC, along with the Texas Catholic Conference and Texas Impact, formed Texas Faith for Fair Lending. For several reasons, we believe that the churches and faith communities in Texas have a unique voice and role to play in this debate. First, our churches and charities are often where people go for financial assistance. Too many of our charitable dollars are going to help pay the light bill for folks who are stuck paying exorbitant fees on these loans. Second, congregations still teach the value of stewardship. Many of our churches conduct financial education classes, and my church offers Financial Peace University by Fox Business News host Dave Ramsey. Third, many of our folks are actively creating alternative lending models with reasonable rates. I know of several churches and church-based charities that are partnering with credit unions to be a resource for people in financial distress. Finally, we see this as a moral issue in Texas. Our morality is not tied to what the market will bear, but what is right and just, and we hope this sense of morality informs public policy in Texas. The scriptures of nearly every major faith tradition speak clearly about usury, especially when high interest is used to profit off of the misfortune of others and works to keep people poor. Our concern is not confined to one corner of Christianity, even though our most conservative brothers and sisters have spoken out against this practice, including Dave Ramsey, the late Chuck Colson, and Pat Robertson's 700 Club. Last session, dozens of pastors from a wide range of denominations and faiths came to Austin to call for reform, but also to share what their churches are doing to address the problem. Our churches are doing their part. We need the legislature to act and rein in these lending products that are so out of step with historical practice. Fundamentally, this issue boils down to usury. In America, usury has been understood as immoral, and there have long been laws prohibiting it. Each of our original colonies had usury laws that limited interest rates to around 5 to 8%. The Texas Constitution, as you've already heard, states that any interest over 10% that is not otherwise regulated shall be deemed usurious. Adam Smith, the father of capitalism, calls for interest rate limits in the wealth of nations. It is the decaying of this sense of morality that has led us here today, where loans to the most desperate of our neighbors are routinely carry an APR of 700%. Cap on rates or fees is a recent historical exception, not the rule. This industry has used successive loopholes, first partnering with out-of-state banks and now lending through the CSO Act to avoid Texas usury law and regulations that were specifically written to govern this type of small-dollar consumer lending. Even since last session, as you've recently heard, we have seen new creative products with the intent to evade state and local regulation. From the outset, it was not the intent of our reform efforts to write new regulations for this industry. Last session, bills authored by Speaker Craddock and others would have simply forced these lenders to comply with existing regulations written for them in Chapter 342 of the Texas Finance Code. Nor have we ever set out to put people out of business. We understand the need for credit, and for some that will be expensive. However, in Chapter 342, a 2-week $300 loan carries an effective APR of 135.54%. If you cannot make a reasonable profit from that, I think there's something wrong with your business model. What we are asking for is a fair deal for Texans. There's a problem inherent in the structure of these loans. There's a profit incentive for borrower failure. If a borrower cannot pay back the entire amount owed in one lump sum when due, they simply pay the fee again and again. The more often a borrower fails, the more money the CSO makes. What we call the cycle of debt is the most profitable scenario for the payday and auto title lenders. High fees are justified due to high risk. But if a person takes out a $300 payday loan and is unable to pay the full principal, fee, and interest of $368 in one lump sum, they then pay $68 over and over again to extend the date by 2 weeks. This scenario can go on forever and often does go on many times over. If a borrower pays the fee 10 times over 5 months, that's $680 paid on a $300 loan, yet they still owe $368. If they never come in and pay that amount in one lump sum, have they defaulted? At some point, there's an end to risk. We have seen auto title loan contracts for $4,000 where a borrower can pay $1,200 every month and never pay it down. One of the most positive aspects of the bills passed last session was the ability to collect data. However, there's a limitation to this data that you were getting at a little bit earlier that must be noted. We still do not know the answer to a fundamental question, that is, how many Texans use these loans. Because each location reports the number of borrowers they serve, customers are overcounted. If a borrower goes to multiple locations, even of the same company, they will be counted at each location. The total number of consumers reported by the OCCC is a maximum. Borrowers have no doubt been counted multiple times. This results in an inflated perception of demand. The data has showed an alarming number of car repossessions that we haven't mentioned yet due to the auto title lending practices. With the addition of the fourth quarter data that I've just been able to look at, I believe that number is now over 35,000 cars repossessed in Texas in 2012. Also concerning is what the data broken down by MSA suggests about competition. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
That's okay. Just real quick question. 35,000 cars repossessed due to these loans or just in total?
These loans.
Okay. So that doesn't include a car that would be repossessed because you didn't make your auto payment?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
So also concerning is what the data broken down by MSA suggests about competition, to your point earlier, Chairman. The Dallas area, which has the second highest number of cabs, has the highest average fees in the state of over $24.65 per 100 borrowed. The more locations, the more competition, and lower fees should result. Marketplace competition does not seem to drive down fees in this industry. Finally, the information reported with regard to installment loans is particularly troubling. Last session, we had no idea how quickly the industry is moving towards installment loans and what they really look like. Through 3 quarters of data, we have seen a 71% increase in volume of installment loans. The average loan of $576 with a 96-day term carries fees of $169 per $100 borrowed, so that in just over 3 months, that loan costs over $1,500. Based on product listings on company websites, the terms seem to be getting longer, many nearing 6 months with APR around 600%. These are not short-term loans. While a loan with fixed payments and an end date seems like an improvement, at this cost, they are not a better product for the borrower. These loans are only a way to guarantee the same amount of fees as a traditional loan that's been rolled over 7.4 times. If these companies are going to be installment lenders, then we should treat them like all other installment lenders in the state. And these rates are far out of line with any comparative regulated consumer loans in Texas. We look forward to working with each of you this session to find a statewide solution that improves this market for borrowers without putting people out of business and promotes lender and borrower success. Thank you.